Hello, it's me, Peter, and today I'm talking to you about cricket. And I know, 2 videos in 2 days, aren't you all lucky sausages to get to look at this beautiful face and apparently, according to all your comments, this beautiful tash twice in as many days. You are lucky. But however, as you may have guessed, I wanted to get my predictions in and a video out to all of you before midnight today because, of course, in England, that's when the first ball of the Ashes series for this year gets underway. I'm going to do a prediction video today, and here it is. 5 reasons why England will beat Australia and win the Ashes. On with the show. It would be extremely easy to say that Australia are going to win 5-0. Let's be honest. It's easy to be pessimistic about this England side going into a series down under. Recent history, aside from the 2010-2011 tour, has been extremely one-sided. England have not won a game in 3 of their last 4 tours down under, which is not great. But let's be optimistic. Why not? I'm going to give you 5 reasons why England will win, 1 for each ground, and we're going to get started straight away with the Gabba. Yes, England have an atrocious record here. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that they actually haven't won, or should I say they've won only twice at the Gabba in Brisbane since the Second World War. And that was quite a long time ago. But why do I think England are going to win at the Gabba? Because Australia are not in good shape, or not in as good a shape as they want to be going into the match. You would say they are probably lacking the match fitness that they were looking for going into our first test of an Ashes series. They've had very little test cricket in the build-up. They haven't played a test match since January of this year, and they lost at the Gabba. And they've also had a really poor build-up because of weather conditions, cancelling fixtures, and of course scandals within their own camp. Not going to go into too much details on those, but they have undoubtedly, along with the process of picking a new captain, who granted was expected to be captain, will have shaken things up in the Australian camp and made their preparations not as good as they could be. England, granted, have also not had as great preparation as they wanted. The weather has also stalled them on their recent preparation matches against the England Lions. But this is the best chance to attack when they are vulnerable, when they are not match sharp. And granted, it's a place where we have a terrible record, but it's time to wipe that slate clean, don't you think? Reason number 1, Australia undercooked going into the game at the Gabba. But then we move on to Adelaide. This is a day-nighter, and perhaps, despite any of the talk going forward and any of the fixtures in this series, England's ultimately best chance at a victory this year. Why? Because it's a day-nighter, and the pink kookaburra does a little bit more under the lights than it would do as a red ball in the day. Why will this benefit England? Because England have bowlers that can utilise movement, such as Jimmy Anderson, such as Stuart Broad, such as Chris Wokes, and these 3 you think will be really crucial to England's chances if they're going to get a victory at Adelaide, which I believe they can. They also have a pretty decent record in terms of batting in Adelaide, despite not winning very many games there. Of course, England have fluffed the last day-nighter in Australia, and let's not talk about the day-nighter that was in India this year, because that was not even fluffing, that was just forgetting how to play cricket for a couple of days. However, like I said, this is England's best chance. I predict that there is going to be a victory here at Adelaide. The tour then moves on to Melbourne for the Boxing Day test. Why do I think England will win here? Well, I couldn't think of many reasons, so I went for just the weather. A very English thing to predict is going to be on our side, but actually, it may well be. Australia have undergone or are undergoing something called La Nina, which is a weather phenomenon that is on top of Australia right now that is cooling down and making there be less heat waves and other conditions where they are more probably suited to the cooler English summers. Last time England played in cooler conditions in Melbourne was 2010 and 11, and of course, as we know, they won the Boxing Day Test that time. But on a similar note, Australia are not unbeatable. They are not the unbeatable foes that they once were. When we went to Australia, when other teams went to Australia and physically got battered. Let's have a look at India, for instance. India, who didn't even take their strongest team. Virat Kohli didn't play every single test match. They took a weakened squad to Australia and they ground down the batsmen, they ground down the bowlers, and ended up grinding out the series victory. I think I said grounding 3 times there. This is what happens when you don't write a proper script. But anyway, why do I think England will win in Melbourne? A very English reason. I think the weather could be on our side at this point. The tour then moves on to Sydney. And I think here, this is where our bowling department might finally shine. I think Australia have undoubtedly the strength up top. But we, on the other hand, certainly have the strength in depth. I know I said it literally yesterday, that we struggle to take 10 to 20 wickets. And I stand by that. But I feel like the Aussie replacements, so people like Michael Naser, Joe Richardson, they are even less likely to take 20 wickets in a game. You look at Stark, Hazelwood, Cummins, Lyon. They are the top 4 bowlers in Australia, but they're also the top 4 bowlers in Australia by, I'd say, quite some distance. And if that squad isn't rotated by the point where we get to Sydney, injuries might start being picked up. And if they get picked up, or multiple injuries get picked up, then those weaker bowling options will have to come in to replace. And therefore, ultimately, Australia will be weakened, possibly by the time that they get to Sydney. So why do I think we'll win in Sydney? Lack of bowling options from Australia that could be exploited later on in the series. Then we move on to, I don't know at this point. No one knows. Of course, the news has come today that probably has been very expectant by anyone following the Ashes this year, that Perth has been removed from the Ashes tour. They have very strict COVID regulations there, which meant that it was very unlikely that the match was ever going to get played there. And for now, we don't know where the 5th and final test is going to take place. This, I think, again, for similar reasons that will work in England's favour in Brisbane, I think this would play in England's favour because it gives Australia less time to prepare. It gives England less time to prepare, of course, as well. But when the home side is vulnerable for that reason, it's time to attack. And if it becomes a day-nighter in Melbourne, which I think it could be, I'm not saying, I've only heard rumours, but you didn't hear it first. It could be rumoured to be a day-nighter in Melbourne. This will play in England's favour for the exact same reasons that the day-nighter will play into England's favour in Adelaide. So there you are, 5 reasons to be optimistic of why England will win the Ashes. We've got the weather. I can't believe I said that. We've got the weather. We've got unpredictability of conditions. We've got the fact that Australia are weakened. They've not come into the team and to the squad as match fit as they could be. What was the other one I said? Oh yeah, day-nighters as well. Day-nighters will play into our favour. So, of course, Root, Stokes, Jimmy make it 8 reasons to be optimistic that England can win, but 8 reasons for England to win doesn't really have quite the same ring to it as 5 reasons why England could win. But there's 5 reasons to be optimistic anyway. Now, let's not forget, over the T20 World Cup, I made a bet on New Zealand winning it. I called it out, and I said that they were going to be there at the end. Comments, friends said, no, you're wrong. They're not even going to get anywhere near. They're rubbish. And look what happened. They almost did it. I was actually really disappointed in the end that they didn't win. But with that in mind, I'm going to do the same again. I'm going to place a bet on the underdogs to win, and the underdogs in this are England. It's going to be 2-1 to England. I think the Australians will win at the Gabba. I think England will take the day-nighter at Adelaide. There'll be a draw at Melbourne. There'll be a draw at Sydney. And the unpredictability of where the fifth and final test is will play into England's favour, and they will take the series there. That's it. I hope you're all of you are looking forward to tonight. I can't wait to get started. I can't wait for the series to get started and all the talk to turn into action. Like, comment, subscribe on my channel. Thank you for any interaction that you have with this video or anything to do with my channel as well. And until then, sports fans, until the Ashes, we will talk after the first test, I'm sure. Bye.